Hi guys, the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine is going on right now, and I need to apologize. I was wrong in all my previous videos. Putin is a madman and bloody dictator. He's ready to kill civilians and level the cities to the ground just to justify his personal delusions. I'm really sorry for everyone who believed in my complex analysis and my assumption of him being sane. I misled you. Unfortunately, diagnosing mental health is something mathematicians can't do. This story is very personal to me because my family lives in Kiev. And today, instead of another complex analysis, I'm gonna tell you the real story, how my life and the life of my family changed within less than 24 hours. How people in Kiev could not believe the reality of invasion until the very last second. How fancy and troublesome life of huge European metropolis can turn into the war zone. My mom and the rest of my family lives in Kiev, and I'm staying in Mexico City at the moment. 7 hours before the invasion started, at 9:30 p.m. Ukrainian time, I called my mom. We talked about life, how nice Mexico City is, amazing food and coffee. My mom's supposed to fly to Brazil in just 10 days to see me and have an amazing, long time anticipated vacation. And KLM Airlines cancelled all the flights from Kiev to Amsterdam because of forever invasion, which never happens. Ryanair and LOT Polish Airlines are still flying to Kiev. Should I buy my mom another tickets through them, or maybe the war will finally be cancelled and she can take the original flight? Sure, we briefly talked about the possibility of the real war. I told my mom that many commentators that I respect saying now that the war is imminent and the situation changed a lot within the last couple of days. But most likely there will be something in Donbas region, which is really far away from Kiev. There was a war like this 8 years ago, but no one cancelled any flights. Capturing Kiev is crazy idea and not aligned with the last 20 years of Putin's behavior. And my mom fully agreed. Long time ago we have discussed that in case of unlikely real danger of bombardment of Kiev, the plan was that my uncle will come with the car, pick up my mom and my grandma, who is living in the house nearby, and then they all drive to Khmelnytsky, which is a smaller town in western Ukraine. After that call, my mom went to bed, and I decided to go for a walk around sunny Mexico City. The city changed so much within the last 5 years, and it's a paradise for urbanists, so many amazing places, and I thought my mom would have liked that city for sure. If only I knew about that situation with the flight cancellation, I could have brought her here. Then suddenly I got a message from my very good friend from Russia. He works as a journalist, very anti-Putin, but quite an alarmist. Basically every day he sends me some breaking news suggesting that the war is about to start. Then I give him my skeptical analysis, and we both agree that it's not a convincing proof of the upcoming war. And the next day nothing happens, and I was right. This time he sent me an article from another journalist from Russia and said that this guy was the last one who was optimistic that the war is just bluffing. Then in half an hour he sent me the news that terrorists from so-called LPR and DPR sent a letter to Putin asking to bring troops. And the letter was signed 2 days ago, and only now it became public. This was a more convincing sign that something bigger will happen tonight. But again, it's all about Donbas, not Kiev. We concluded on that optimistic note 4 hours before the attack, and my friend went to bed. It was still daytime in Mexico City, and I decided to keep my eyes on all the news. The quickest way to get the news right now is to use a bunch of anonymous Telegram channels, which are super fast to react, but sometimes the news are fake, and it's really hard to verify. Ukrainian intelligence promised some false flag operation with explosion in Crimea in one of the factory in the middle of the night. But it didn't happen, and the night was almost over in Ukraine. So I went to the Russian propaganda news, and the top was that Ukrainian President Zelensky is ready to talk and diplomacy. At that point I was like, nothing will happen tonight. So I went to get a nice dinner, raw shrimps, tuna, just 1 hour before the invasion. After I finished, I decided to have another walk and take a metro back home. Suddenly I'm reading the news on Telegram that Putin made a speech and started a military operation for demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine to depose the current government. My head got explode, like, what? Am I dreaming? Ukrainian president is openly Jewish and democratically elected? It must be another bluff, or not. Maybe this still is about Donbas, not the whole Ukraine. In that moment you're trying to deceive yourself, but you can't really. It's not official news yet, you can't verify much. Another minute of waiting and then a short message that Kharkiv is getting shelled and there are a bunch of explosions. And now you realize it's no longer Donbass anymore. And it's too late to save my family. Still, maybe it's fake. 1 minute, there is a video of explosion in Kharkiv. And I immediately called my mom, and it's 5 a.m. in Kiev, but she's already up. And I've asked her, are you leaving the city with uncle and grandma? And my mom is like, what's going on? Everything is quiet here. Relax. Let me turn on the TV. Nothing is on the news. What are you talking about? I told her all I know for the moment, and she said, okay, I will call my uncle and ask him. I hang up and immediately started to read more news about what Putin actually said. And I realized that all these attacks are only on military objects, not civilians. This gave me some kind of assurance that maybe it's not too late to save my family. And then I read the message about the explosion near Kiev, and I called a second time. Again, my mom was super chill and said like she didn't hear anything, like nothing on the news. I hang up again. Then I read that it was actually in Kharkiv, not Kiev, but then the video evidence came and it was definitely Kiev. I called my mom basically 5 times within 20 minutes trying to clarify the situation, and on 5th time, my mom was crying. There was explosion somewhere nearby and the whole house shaked. Total shock and understanding that it's all real and it's too late to escape and it's my fault. But I need to be calm at all costs and give the best advice now. My mom lives in a 16-story apartment house, and the first idea was to take grandma and go to the metro station nearby and use it as a shelter. I hang up again. Suddenly I realized that I was like walking on the street for 30-40 minutes in some random direction trying to understand the situation, and I definitely missed the entrance to the metro. I'm completely disoriented. My brain was basically shut. But then I realized I need to call an Uber. Genius idea. In the Uber, I got more evidence and realized that going on to the metro station is a desperate idea. All the explosions so far are around military objects. The probability of accidental missile landing into my mom's house is lower than getting COVID in the fully packed metro station. And my mom is fully vaccinated and boosted, but my grandma is not vaccinated and she's 85. I called my mom again, but I can't. She's no longer online. Probably the network is overloaded, or maybe government turned off everything and I won't be able to call my mom for a very long time. The level of my personal madness went up and I tried to call all possible ways. There is one number which I remember by heart since I was 5, and it's my grandma's landline phone. I called there and luckily someone picked up the phone, but someone I don't know, and I checked the number again and one digit was wrong, fixed and call again. Luckily my mom picked up. She was much calmer and agreed that metro is a bad idea and that on the radio it was announced that Ukrainian army is shooting Russian drone flying over Kiev and everyone should stay at home and not panic. This was not aligned with my Telegram channel's info, but I promised to call back as soon as I understand what's really going on. I hang up, my Uber arrived to the Airbnb and I started to gather all the information using my laptop. Nothing about drones. But suddenly there is a message that the missile fell in Kiev on Vasilkivska Street. Some buildings are damaged, but no details, no photo or video. Wait, this street is really close to my mother's home. I went on Google Maps and checked the address, and it's exactly at the metro station they wanted to go for the shelter. It's like 400 meters away from my house. I immediately called my mom on mobile phone, and it's off. Grandma's landline, off. I kept calling and calling, trying to be super calm and try to find an official confirmation of that news, and nothing for like 5 minutes. Then I've seen my cousin online and called him immediately. Hey, do you have any connections with my mom? Yeah, we plan to come and pick them up in 1 or 2 hours and then we leave Kiev. When did you call them? Their lines are off and there is news about missile landing nearby. I can't confirm it officially. I called them 10 minutes ago and they were fine, but the grandma doesn't want to go. And I was like, let's talk in 5 minutes. Very, very scary, 5 minutes. Luckily, stationary phone started to work again and my grandma picked it up. Extremely positive and joking, saying that something was wrong with the telephone and there were no any explosions nearby. She didn't hear anything. It's all fake news. I asked her to look at the window for the smoke. She confirmed that there is nothing there. She also said that my mom went back to her place and packed, and they're waiting to be picked up by the uncle's car. And that she doesn't really want to go anywhere because it's all hoax. Nothing will happen in Kiev. Imagine the level of self-denial at that point. I was like that just 1 hour ago, but now I'm not. I had to spend some time to convince her, giving her all the evidence that it's not Russian drones are flying, but the Russian army is about to cross the border and tanks may come soon. She got convinced. I hang up. Finally, my cousin was able to find a photo evidence of that Russian missile in the hood. And yep, I know that place from my childhood. I walked there gazillion times. Luckily nothing was damaged, just the advertisement banner. This is not a drone, but a real Russian missile. My high school mate lives even closer and he managed to record this video. War has never been that close to the people I care about. Could I or anyone from my family believed in something like that in just like 1 hour before? Absolutely not. I was continuing to look for the evidence whether it's safe to drive now or it's better to wait, and found a video of innocent biker being randomly killed by the missile in Uman. It's a small town in the middle of Ukraine, really far away from the Russian border, and it's outrageously scary. What is more likely, to die from a random missile or in a bloodbath in Kiev in case of ground operation? I know that Kiev will fight as hell, not only by the regular army, but hundreds of thousands of volunteers with Kalashnikovs. Leaving the city was a better option. I look at the map, luckily they live in the south of the city and the tanks are coming from the north, meaning that they have plenty of time to leave. And after 30 minutes I called again. This time my mom picked up the phone and told me that she's not leaving the city because there is a very little space in the car. 5 people, 2 cats and bunch of luggage. It's clearly a bad idea and nothing will happen to civilians. Another case of extreme self-denial. At that point, I had enough evidence that Russian tanks actually have crossed the closest checkpoint from Russia and can be in the city within 2 or 3 hours. I calmly explained the situation and magic, my mom agreed to leave. The traffic was basically collapsed and it took 1.5 hours for my uncle to arrive to my mom's home. During that time, the sirens started to work and my mom and grandma had to go to the basement. Again, extremely nervous situation because no one picks up the stationary phone. I can't call to any mobile phone. The only way to connect was to send a message to my cousin and wait for 30 minutes when he get some spotty connections to receive and reply. Finally, my family left Kiev and drove far away, and I was able to talk over the phone with my mom. They were all extremely optimistic, and I asked, did you manage to take all the luggage and cats? And she replied that one of the cat got so scared and they couldn't catch her, but my mom left tons of water and food, so the cat should be fine for some time before they can go back. I didn't share that optimism at all, and I felt extremely sad understanding that it might be a slow and painful death for the cat, but I thought I should keep my pain inside. Mental health of my family is #1 priority right now. I promised to keep calling every 1 hour, but the connection got so bad and I was not able to call my mom for the next 24 hours. Luckily, I was getting updated from my cousin. The road from Kiev to Khmelnytsky usually takes like 5 hours, but the traffic was so heavy and I went to bed at 7 a.m. Mexico time and I managed to sleep until 10 a.m. I woke up and they are still not in Khmelnytsky and connection got even worse. Finally, I got good news that only 50 kilometers left, which is probably 1 hour since traffic seems to get better now. And then for the next 4 hours, my cousin was offline. I was constantly checking the news that nothing is happening in that region. And finally, I got a message that they arrived and okay. I'm too stressed and tired to give you a reasonable explanation of the whole situation, but I will surely do this tomorrow. In short, in one of my previous videos, I said that if Putin ever do a full-scale bloody operation, it will be the end of his regime. And I think we are observing an extreme disarray of Russian army, along with lack of motivation and brave Ukrainian fighters with NATO weapons and training and enormous motivation to destroy evil invader. Despite the US prediction of Kiev to fall within 48 hours, it's a day 4 now, and Ukrainian army did something truly unbelievable. The goal of Putin was to invade and force Ukraine to surrender on day 1, and he miscalculated badly. This is the beginning of the end of Putin and the end of Big Russia. More thoughts in my next video tomorrow. Let's wish brave Ukrainian soldiers and volunteers a fast and decisive victory. Putin is total evil and must be destroyed. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow. Slava Ukraini! Bye.